What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How you guys doing? We're back again for another podcast. Usually we do this on the weekend, but hey, got time, come together, and we have some topics to talk about. We have like two topics to talk about. If time permits, we might go a little further. But I'm here with Hollister, Tyrone, and Menelik. But let's get right into it. So I want to talk about Patrick Ewing. Those of you who've been following basketball as much as we have, like we're 80s babies. We've been watching basketball like all of our lives. So when I think about the New York Knicks and growing up, I think about Patrick Ewing. I think about my mom and them. They talk about some stuff in the 70s. They won their chips then. That's cool, but I wasn't around then. But we think about Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, and those guys at 94 Knicks team, which is like one of the best Knicks teams of all time. And we think of that. So for what happened to him recently is really messed up. We already know about, Charles Oakley. We already know about the Spike Lee incident, and for this to happen to one of their greats, I'm talking about the man's jerseys hanging in the rafters. I'm pretty sure security walks by his picture every day, and for him to be harassed the other day, and for him to even speak on it, it's a big thing. It's one thing to be like maybe mistakenly, and he's a 7-footer. You can't really mistake the man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, mistakenly, like, hey, you can't come in here, sir. Oh, snap, it's Patrick Ewing. That's different. But for him to be consistently, like, for what he's putting it, harassed throughout that whole night, I think it's a slap in the face, not only to him, you know what I mean, but to the fans. And I don't understand how a lot of these fans, like, are still rocking with this team and with that mentality. But, hey, let me know what you think, Hollister, and then Menelik, and then Tyrone.
Yeah, the whole Patrick Ewing incident is disrespectful to him, is ridiculous because that man is a well-known person in that building. When you think of the Knicks, he's one of the main people or one of the first people you think about when you think about the Knicks. The man was there 15 years. He did so much for the organization. He got them to the finals. He's been through so many battles for them. And for these guys to walk around, the security team to walk around every day, see this man's picture all over the place. Yeah, I don't know who he is. It's possible they could potentially get fired because at certain places, if you disrespect a certain person and like not show them no common courtesy or respect, you could potentially get fired because he could also, and he has that power too. Patrick Ewing, he could easily call James Dolan real quick, like, yo, such and such. He get him a description. He could have his security team, take care of that. And also too, I feel like James Dolan should have his security team know certain people, like certain legends. Like, all right, they come in the building, they could go around here, there with no problem. They don't need no pass or this or that. Same thing with my job. Like, we see certain trustees come in, we can't tell them they can't go ahead. They could easily make one phone call. We out the building all entirely. And Patrick Ewing could do the same thing to them as too. James Dolan need to get it together because he's not really a great owner. Yes, the team is worth a lot of money. I think it's number one out of all the organizations in the NBA, but he sucks as an owner. He got to get better. He has to get better. And this is why the Knicks continue to suck and won't probably win for another 50 years or more.
Yeah, sounds about right. Menelik?
Yeah, man, it's Patrick Ewing. Like like y'all said, his jersey is around, his pictures all over the place. The guy's a legend for the organization. Like, it should be after other incidences that have happened with the team, with people who are either a super fan like Spike, who's been synonymous with the Knicks for decades, or you talking about, the Charles Oakley thing, was a little different, but still for him to be treated like that. Now Patrick Ewing is like, you would think that the building, the organization, something would try to figure out something, have some kind of protocol, something in place so that they legends are taken care of. Whether that is some type of pass, whether that's, once they there, like how many 7-foot people walking around, like they either a player or a former player. And outside of that, even if you not sure, it's like Ewing ain't the most generic looking person. We'll just leave it at that, right? Exactly. So with his pictures, all that stuff around there, you should know who that man is. And even if you didn't at first, once he says something, like that the energy should change. Like, and I mean, we'll see what happens, how it plays out, but it's unfortunate, man, that somebody who gave his all to the organization, a real legend, one of the last time they've been super, super relevant consistently was during that Ewing era. So yeah, like you touched on, there's the past with Clyde and Bernard King and those guys, but in terms of recent times, the last time they were consistently like really relevant was during that Ewing era. So I mean, it's sad to see him treated like that, and we'll see any other kind of specifics and who's to blame or how they could, try to make sure something like this doesn't happen again. They just have so much bad publicity and other things that, yeah, they just need to get it together.
Thanks, Tyrone.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by this. It's the Knicks. What do you expect from the Knicks? You have a situation where there was an incident with Charles Oakley at the Garden where he's physically removed from the arena. A living legend like him. That was a personal issue because I guess Oakley said some things that Dolan didn't like, and then he shows up at the Garden. Dolan gives that wink. I'm not saying that's what he really did, but he probably gave the wink like, yo, get him out of here. Physically gets him out of there. Oakley's pushing the security back because he's wondering why they touching him. As you know, it's like 4 or 5 guys throwing him out of the building. Then you have a situation where Spike Lee is taking a certain elevator that he's been taking for 20 plus years, and all of a sudden one day they told him, no, you can't do this no more. He wants to speak to someone about it. He wants to speak to Dolan. They don't come out and tell him anything. He's upset. He boycotts the rest of the Knicks season and stuff like that. And then now you have Patrick Ewing. And with this situation, I don't really want to say it's Dolan's fault with the Ewing thing because I haven't seen anything that says Dolan had anything to do with it. It was more of a security thing, but security should know better. It's Patrick freaking Ewing. His jersey's in the rafters. There's probably tons of pictures of him at the Garden, so you should know who he is, if anything. But I was thinking that they're the three of the most famous New York Knicks people ever. And yes, I'm saying Spike Lee because when you think of the Madison Square Garden, you think of Spike Lee. And you think of him sitting as courtside seat, rooting on his New York Knicks, just like Jack roots on the Lakers when they were at the Forum and the Staples Center. So when you think of the Lakers, you think of Jack also. So it's the same thing with the Knicks with Spike Lee. So I consider him a Knick. And then you have the 2 players that put their heart, blood, sweat, and tears in the 90s, the 80s and 90s for that organization. And I think that Dolan's a little jealous by that because they're bigger names than he is when you're talking about the Knicks, and he owns the team. Certain teams have owners that are bigger than certain players, and he's one that he's not. Allen Houston, who works for the organization, John Starks and Larry Johnson, people like that, they work for the organization or work with Dolan. They're not. I'm wondering, do he keep those kind of people around because their names are not as big as his? Compared to like alpha males like Oakley and Pat and Spike Lee. I don't know if it's a jealousy thing with him, but you don't have there should have been head should have been rolling. He should have been saying, this is Patrick Ewing. We can't do this to Patrick. It's one thing when there's other players, but Patrick, that shouldn't have happened. So I don't really want to fully blame him because I don't know exactly what happened. But I'm pretty sure people are going to talk about this on TV and bring up Dolan having issues with his arena.
I agree. And I mean, I know you don't want to blame him, but I'll blame him for you. My thing is that his stance, like, you're a billionaire, and I know, like, people are still people, and I get that. And I'm not counting anybody's money, but you own the building, you hire the staff. The staff should already know, like Hollister said earlier, there's certain trustees that come in his area that they just know, like, this person is here. Even though I know, don't get me wrong, some people could be a little bit like, jerkish, but he knows, like, look, at the end of the day, they the one who helped bring the money in. So they have to get some kind of quote unquote special treatment to some degree. You have Spike, like you said, Tyrone, who's a super fan, man. Like you also said, you got like, Patrick Ewing, like his stuff into the jersey, like David Stern, God rest his soul, cheated for y'all to even get him. And y'all got the man, you know what I'm saying? And he was like synonymous with the team for years and put the team on the map and made them popular, was in movies and different things like that. You thought about the Knicks, you thought about Patrick Ewing. So for me, it's still on Dolan. And like you said, Tarn, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it is a jealousy thing. I think that when you think about, the Knicks, you don't really think about James Dolan in a positive way. You think about James Dolan and when things are negative. He doesn't like that. And also, I kind of think it's on a low key, him trying to get rid of the team. I think he trying to, he realized the team is worth a lot of money. You know, he probably out of the business of like owning the team. If he can get paid $5-6 billion, way more than what he paid for the team or who his father had the team, or whoever, how he inherited it, he can walk away with that and let somebody else deal with it. You know what I'm saying? He get that money. So why not have issues like this so that people say, hey, sell the team, like how they did with Sterling. My thing is, like you said, it comes a point where, you know what I mean, enough is enough already. And I think that, you know, he needs to really get his stuff together. And if you're doing this to your legends, it doesn't make your team enticing to other players to want to come play there, because at the end of the day, why would I want to play for an organization that not only treats their fans poorly, but also treat their legends and their Hall of Famers poorly? So I wouldn't mess with that. But switching gears, we're going to talk about Meyers Leonard. Now, for those of you who don't know, Meyers Leonard is a player who plays for the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat has recently let him, suspended him, and he's not playing with them indefinitely. I think I want to say last week or so, he said a racial slur towards Jewish people. I'm not going to repeat it here, obviously. You guys can find it on the internet and hear what he says. It rhymes with bike, if you want to know. And he was on a live stream. So now he's a gamer. A lot of us are gamers. He's playing Call of Duty, and we all have been in these game lobbies where people say racist things to us and racist things to other people and say some crazy things. And I'm not excusing it. I'm just trying to say that is a culture, especially, and it's always, well, I'm not even going to say that. Those, people who going out there going ham. So anyway, he said what he said. He got, I guess, a text or a notification from like his wife or somebody like, yo, that was on the live stream. They heard it. And that was a professional stream. So that means he was getting sponsored by mad companies, and they let him go immediately. And, I'm going to get to my piece on it and what I think about what he did and how dumb it is. But let's just bring it to the room. So I'm going to go to Menlick, Tyrone, Holliston, then I'll go.
Yeah. So like you said, a lot of that is, and it doesn't make it right, is part of that kind of gaming culture. A lot of young kids even start out thinking they could say all kind of wild, crazy stuff, and it gets desensitized. And I think, he came out, he apologized. He said what he said. I mean, the apology to me, it could have been better. It's one of those things where I don't know. I'm not saying that he's not sincere, but it was kind of like, I'm sorry, I didn't know what I did. And the way he used it, it came across like he at least knew he was trying to have a negative impact. Like he knew it would offend. Once again, I don't know who was on the other line or all that kind of stuff. I don't know the full context, but regardless, you're a public person doing a public activity like streaming, and you're sponsored, this, that, and the third. So baseline, you gotta pay in some regard, or there will be some kind of consequences, which they were. I think they fined him, and I think he might have to do some training or something like that. Yeah. So, look, I want to believe that, maybe it was more so him just being a little too desensitized, and he's going to learn from this. But at the end of the day, I think it was right for him to get suspended. It was right for, people to kind of call him out on it, because this kind of stuff left unchecked, or it becomes normalized, is going to become more prevalent. And it is no place for that, especially for a public person doing something in a public way. Now, it should never be said, not even in private, this, that, and the third. But, at the end of the day, he is a basketball player playing for a league, and it's his job. He can't go around. And once again, and this was his other job in a sense, because he was sponsored by a gaming company. And I mean, yeah. So all I would say is, and I don't mean that in that complete extreme sense of canceling, because I know, I think I know Julian Edelman. He came out and kind of said something like, like, let's try to educate somebody, or try to meet that kind of hate or that ignorance with love and this, that, and the third. So let's see what he does now. Show us who you really are. And, I know there's other questions too about giving him fully the benefit of the doubt because of what happened in the bubble. But I know he said one of the reasons was because of his brother was in the military. But now people are like, what was there anything else? Who knows? So that's just something else that's put on top of it. and to think about. So hopefully, once again, he ain't mean in a certain way, and he shows us who he really is, and he apologizes and does that work for that community. And yeah, we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Tyrone?
Yeah, right before Menelik said it, I was just gonna bring that up about the bubble. This situation, in a situation like this, you should know better. For the simple fact of you're on a live microphone. I don't care if it was a professional chat. Like I from time to time will play games online, but very, very rare I do. I don't have a microphone. I really don't know what is live chats or the big. I'm not really too familiar with which one is which, but I guess he was on like a public one where random people could.
Just to give you some quick background, he's like a Twitch streamer. So a lot of times people who like are really big in like video games, they'll have like a stream. So how we're talking right now, right? You can stream your gameplay. So you can stream at the same time while you're talking and talk to your fans, talk to people. So that's what he was on.
Yeah, kind of like IG Live or like Facebook or something like
exactly.
that, but playing a game while you be doing it.
Exactly.
Sorry, people. I'm a little old school. I don't have social media and a lot of this new stuff that goes on. I'm not really into it, so they had to educate me on it. But if you know you're on those kind of platforms, even if it's just regular ones with your friends, be careful with what you say with a live mic. You don't want to get caught saying something that whether you meant it or you didn't. If you know that it could damage your reputation or your money, you don't want to mess up your money, you don't say it. If you know that it's going to happen to you, don't say it. And for him to go out and say it on that platform like that, it just shows that he really had no common sense. And I just excuse me, I wonder with him what kind of person he really is. Because like I was saying, I was going to say before Menelik brought it up, when every player in the NBA outside of Jonathan Isaac and Meyers Leonard kneeled for the national anthem in support of Black Lives Matter movement, he was one of the two. Now Jonathan Isaac is African American, so I don't want to say it like this, but let's keep it real. He got a free pass because he was black, so nobody's gonna really get on him. But when you see the white guy not kneel, the first thing you wonder is, why is he not doing it? Why he not supporting? He said it was for his brothers in the military. I get it, but a lot of times that's just an easy that's an easy cop out, if you ask me. So for you to not support Black Lives Matter movement, not saying that you were wrong for standing, but I'm just saying, set the scene up. You didn't kneel, and then you use a Jewish slur. This don't look right for him. And what kind of person is he really? Is he a racist? Who knows? Because he didn't support the blacks by kneeling, and he disrespected Jewish people by saying what he said. So I wonder with Meyers Leonard, and he lost a lot of respect from the league, and he lost a lot of respect from me by what he did, regardless. And I'm an African American, and I was offended by this also, and it brought me back to him not kneeling. So I really don't. He can't explain it to me, and he can't give an explanation that'll make me say, okay, I understand.
Got you. Hollister?
Yeah, Meyers Leonard, like Tyrone said, like I was skeptical about him with the whole situation in the bubble as well. He was, he said his brother's in the military, et cetera, et cetera. Who knows? He could be a racist. And the crazy thing that I just recently found out, he said that racial slurs towards Jewish people, and Mickey Arison is an Israeli American, so his boss is part Jewish. So it's like you saying that to his people as well too. Like you just damaging your whole career, everything. Like it's ridiculous. Like I don't know. This guy's he wasn't really known as a player like to be like put up crazy numbers. Like he's not. It's ridiculous. I don't hate that much on it. It's like
it's like a lost award.
These stuff coming out of like you saying this stuff. You know, you on these cameras all over the place, and you gonna say that he probably said it intentionally. Who knows? And now you trying to apologize? Like, come on. Nobody don't want to hear that. Keep it. Like he probably said it on purpose. Who knows?
Yeah, and I agree with you, man. I think just coming full circle, like Tyrone and you guys all said it. It's like with him, he's coming from a place of privilege, and I know some people might take this the wrong way, but hey, I'm gonna explain. He's coming from a place of privilege. He's a white male in this country where being white is like the pinnacle of life. And how they put it. He's coming from a place of privilege. He's probably one of those same kids that when we used to play video games online or call out and say the N-word and all this other stuff like that online. Now he has a platform, and because of his privilege, he wasn't thinking. So like what Melik said earlier, he knew what it meant. To say you didn't know what it meant and you need to be educated on it is, to me, is a cop-out. You know what I mean? Is something like that. Now he might not have understood the gravity of the word, but he knew that it meant to be a derogatory word. That's like a kid will say a curse word because they know, even though they don't know what the curse word means, they will say it because they know that their parents say, don't say it and it's bad. That's what he did it for. That's why he said it in that way with that, expression. And he was like, oh, you MF, like he knew what it was. So to say that you didn't know, to me, I think is just a little bit much. Right. So for him to do that, I think he's just full of it, to be honest with you. And the apology was weak. I think that, you're going to do that because you have to cover up now. You're losing money now. The team is going to punish you. Like you said, Hollister, the owner, is Jewish. You got Adam Silver, who's Jewish. You know what I'm saying? He's the commissioner of the league. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people, especially in the behind the scenes, that are Jewish, that affects them in that monetary kind of way. So for him to do that, he's already, just like, like, dang, I messed up. And like Tyrone said, like I wasn't really paying attention to a lot of the stuff in the bubble as far as like the kneeling and different things like that. It's a nice gesture, but I'm more past the kneeling and those type of things. I'm more about action. So to me, I didn't even notice that he didn't stand, like he didn't sit, or kneel. I know like even Popovich, he stood, but Popovich was ex-military, but Popovich has been vocal throughout his campaign, so he get a pass. The Jonathan Isaac thing, unfortunately, what happened to him during the bubble, and people were making jokes like the ancestor came and took that knee because he didn't want to take a knee, so they came and took it. You know what I'm saying? Being funny, but it's not really funny. But at the end of the day, he has to live with this now. You know what I mean? This is something that I think we have to get people understanding that saying these racial things, having this kind of racial mentality is not acceptable anymore. Before, people used to get a pass all the time. Now, granted, I'm not saying that you should cancel the dude. I do believe that people could learn and make changes and different things like that. So I'm not saying cancel the man. He could like ruin his career. But at the end of the day, there needs to be some consequences. The fine was enough. Him being suspended is enough. I think him learning and having to go to these things to learn is something that will help. I think what messed up this country is that for too long, we skated over issues and make it like, oh, it's not a big deal and just leave it alone. So, I mean, hopefully you don't have to be like 20 months, like the Papa John's guy talking about he needed 20 months to get it out of his system, get that vocabulary, that the N-word out of his vocabulary. I just feel that, like, it's an empty apology. I feel that, we need to set the tone with these individuals, letting them know that this stuff, it can't fly. And we need to have a society where, we be inclusive and also learn from each other. I think once we start to understand and accept and, realize that there's racism in the world and address it and, call it what it is and, and really speak on it, that's when we'll be able to move forward and make some real changes in the world. But until then, if we're going to keep like kind of like pussyfooting around it, like it's not a big deal, I think we always have this problem. But yeah, man, I mean, that's about it. I mean, tonight, the Nets play tonight. There's a lot of games going on tonight. I was hoping for Blake Griffin and Kevin Durant to play, but unfortunately, they're not going to play tonight. So we'll wait until Saturday to see what happens.
It looks like KD might be out a little longer.
I know,
they're gonna keep it. They're gonna keep it slow with him, which is smart.
Yeah,
he came back after he came back after 18 months. Man, make adjustments. Stop crying. Well,
I'll watch you without him, right?
Yeah, we'll see in the playoffs. But if you want to brag about regular season wins, sure enough, do that. But they're saving him, so that's a good thing. I mean, the man missed 18 months and he was basically an MVP candidate. So I don't think another month or two would hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We'll see.
Plus, they'll if he's healthy, they're winning it. I'm convinced. I've seen enough I seen the teams they beat, and they beat some of those teams without all three of them. And yeah, they right now they're the team to beat. I don't think the Lakers would have a chance if they played.
I was trying to tell you that.
They no, you see, that's the thing. You were saying that, but you were saying it like a fan. You were just like, yeah, it's over.
I just knew.
Like, I had to, but the thing is, I had
2008. I said the Celtics going to win the championship, and I was right.
Oh, well, if Andrew Bynum never got hurt, that Lakers team would have won it. I told you. I've always told you. The 2010 and the 2008 teams, the wrong teams won. You guys should have the Lakers should have won the 2008 finals, and y'all should have won the 2010 finals when Perkins tore his ACL. I always tell you, you know that already. I always tell you that.
Yeah, won the wrong titles. We should have won both.
Well,
but I agree with you. Everything you said about the Nets, I agree with you.
Technically, yeah, the 2010 you already won 08, so yeah, you can say that. But yeah, with the Nets, I had to see. And to see that James Harden is so unselfish and playing the point guard and getting the team involved really showed me that, yeah, this team is the best team. Because he was the key. Yeah. We all know Kyrie was going to shoot. We all know how KD is. James Harden was the key. And for him to be the facilitator, yeah, he gets his buckets when he needed, but he's pass first on this team. That James Harden, they play like that, nobody's beating them. And I am man enough to admit that. Anybody else have a problem? No, I don't want your appreciation. Let's stop it. Because you're just talking like a fan. Now, you better hope nobody gets hurt.
No, that's it. I think that's the key. Right? That's why I think we taking this slow.
And also, Milwaukee looks better now. And Drew Holiday came back. That's also a dialogue.
I'm
just saying.
I hear what you're saying. I hear everything you're saying.
And watch Philly.
Yeah,
Philly does look good. Yeah, but you guys are creeping up on the 1 seed, so I think y'all like a half a game out.
Half a game behind, man. We win tonight. We
lose it. We the first top seed.
So my thing, look, man, I agree with everything you just said, obviously, but I'm just saying that. I'm just trying to say, to me personally, besides the fan talk, I looked at the team and I felt that the team would be fine. I mean, don't get me wrong, the beginning with the defense, I felt it would be an issue, but I just knew like how Kevin Durant played and getting James Harden. That was a little skepticism for me there, but after seeing what he was doing, especially the first few games, and like now he figured it out. Like he can turn it on when he needs to as far as scoring, and he can divvy up the ball when he needs to, keeps everybody involved. And adding Blake Griffin, like a lot of people say, oh, he washed out. Nah, the man, he didn't want to be in Detroit. I think even if we get like half of the Blake Griffin that Clippers had, you know what I'm saying, we still good because we have another big body who can rebound and who can dunk and all that stuff like that.
He hasn't dunked in almost 2 years. Don't say that.
Why dunk for a team that's trash and nobody watches?
We're not talking about.
You know what I'm saying? I guarantee his first game when he comes back in Brooklyn, he gonna get it done.
But here's the thing with Blake. I think it's a great pickup for the fact. Can you stop saying thanks? You acting like you signed him.
I mean, I called him. It's only else since I'm friend.
But it is a great signing because he's not fully washed. He's just not a star anymore, and he can contribute to that team. My issue with Blake was your fantasy team. Like, he's not going to help you fantasy wise. That was my only issue with Blake.
We'll see.
But Blake is a great pickup. Blake is a great pickup for the Brooklyn Nets. I don't think they should start him.
He's coming off the bench.
Yeah, I don't think they should start him because he can help the second unit real well. I think that'll help out a lot. And that's just now. This is what I want to say. I want to see who gets LaMarcus Aldridge because the Spurs and him parted ways. And when they said parted ways, the Spurs, they're not stupid. They're not like, no, we're not letting him go. We're gonna trade him, so we're gonna get something back for him. So I want to see what team gets LaMarcus Aldridge and see if because then that's how you'll know. All right, that team is trying to catch up to the Brooklyn Nets. So it'll be interesting to see where LaMarcus Aldridge goes. You can say
there's rumors with the Lakers saying that, and I said this before, that Gasol's not working out the way they thought he would, and they look.
Listen. Let me stop.
I think he's going back to Portland.
Stop that. Let me stop that right now. I believe he's going back to Portland because he said he wanted to end his career in Portland. I was surprised he left Damian Lillard when he did leave, but the Spurs are not doing any business with the Lakers. That's not happening. You see, they didn't even trade Kawhi there. When's the last time you heard the Spurs that Popovich is not doing business with the Lakers? Yeah. I don't even think about that.
Yeah, I think he's gonna go to Portland. I think with that whole situation with Portland, as we get ready to wrap, is that he want to go back there. I think he thought like he wanted to prove that he was like the meal ticket and realize that no Dame time was the meal ticket.
He saw that All-Star game. He was like,
listen. Man, I passed this up for this. Like, you know what I'm saying? He realized how good he had it with Damian Lillard. And when he come back, he gonna have to fit in where he gonna fit in. Because you got Melo now, you got Nurkic and them who came into their own. You got other cats there. You got CJ McCollum. He gonna have to be like a fourth option.
I'm gonna make a bold. I'll make a bold statement. Aldridge goes back to LA. Mm-hmm. I mean to LA. Portland. Well, he is LA. LaMarcus Aldridge. Aldridge goes to Portland. He goes back to Portland. They have a great chance to come out the West. I think they could beat anybody in the West if he goes there. He still has game left. He's not washed up.
He wanted to see post up.
He's not washed up at all. He still got game. He's just been hurt this year. Yeah, he's just been hurt this year. But it depends on what people give up to get him.
There was a couple teams they said Portland, Chicago. I think
Miami. Miami got get rid of Meyers Leonard. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, listen, my Chicago. See, if the Bulls get him, it comes full circle. We drafted LaMarcus Aldridge with the second pick, and we were dumb enough to trade him for Tyrese Thomas on draft night. So how does that sound? Yeah. We traded him for Tyrese Thomas. We could have had him, but
might trade Otto Porter to get him.
I'd love to get rid of Otto Porter. Jesus, Marion Joseph. Can we get rid of that contract? He makes $27 million a year. Mm-hmm. It's his final year though. But I also heard the Bulls with Andre Drummond last week. So I would love that. We're fighting for a playoff spot.
Two roster spots, so we could try to get Drummond too. They buy him out.
Listen, I'm trying.
They were talking about everybody want to go to the Nets now. You got Drummond. They talking about Aldridge. It's like, come on.
I'm trying to get some players for the Bulls because I would love to play the Brooklyn Nets in the first round of the playoffs.
We watch y'all.
It would just be so sweet. It'd be so sweet.
We did a nice little warm up.
I'm not one of these fans that want to avoid certain teams. Let me play the best. Yo, listen, we'll probably lose. But at least that it'll
stop. Not problem. Y'all will lose. Ain't no problem. Y'all Zach LaVine is nice, but y'all will lose. Y'all ain't like y'all got the B rolls on them cat. Like y'all, let's stop. Right?
But it's a great teach. It's a great lesson to get in that playoff experience and play the best. You know, I'm from the Michael Jordan era. I want to play the best, so I ain't scared to play Brooklyn or Philly or Milwaukee. If that's what we got to do to that's back when the D Rose era. I wanted to play Miami every year. I wasn't rooting for them to lose so we could avoid them. I wanted to play them because I wanted to beat them. That's how Mike would have did it. So if we got to go through Brooklyn, we're gonna go through Brooklyn. We're gonna give them something because the last time we played Brooklyn in the playoffs, Joakim Noah guaranteed Game 7 victory, and we did it. And Derrick Rose out. I think that was a KG on Brooklyn Nets too.
Yeah, I know what today is, right? What? Today was the year of today, the NBA shut
down. Yeah. It's all over ESPN today.
I know. Yeah, crazy. But if y'all got anything else to say, I mean, we could wrap it up, because we're going to have another one on Saturday.
Yes, sir.
But yeah.
That's all, man.
So I want to thank you guys again for tuning in. I want to thank Mel, Tyrone, and Hollister for joining me this evening. We had a couple of hiccups behind the scenes that we're going to address, but other than that, we were able to come through and provide this episode. Please, guys, if you guys can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. That does help the channel grow. We're trying to grow this platform and just get out there and get some stuff out there. We do this for fun. Like I said, we have a good time, but why not share with you guys? All right, so you guys take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the games, and God bless.
My 100 days.